With XDefiant's launch next week, we'll have a few videos going out to get us ready for all that's to come. But today, in the meantime, we ended up getting official reveals from the XDefiant team about some topics that are near and dear to players' hearts. Things that drew a lot of people over to have interest in XDefiant in the first place. Today, we're taking a look at the information that was detailed that everyone wants to hear about, matchmaking, and more. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below on what you'd like to see in XDefiant either revealed or there at launch or beyond in seasons 1 to 4 in year 1. Let me know what you think down below, but if you enjoyed the video, you find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more XDefiant coverage in the coming days ahead of the launch and beyond, as we'll have a ton to discuss. But for now, let's jump into it. So one of the big selling points for XDefiant initially was the differentiation between COD's matchmaking systems and what we'd be seeing in XDefiant. Naturally, test sessions, betas, and such, they can show it off a little bit, but it's not anything in regards to like the full experience, where at any given moment, you can jump in and experience it, because that's just simply the time constraints of those sort of tests. They're just limited play tests. They're only around for a few short days. But with the game launching next week, wild to think that it is actually this next upcoming week that we'll be playing XDefiant finally after how many delays there were. But with the game launching next week, we'll have that matchmaking system in the forefront of our experience, playing day in and day out. And that's where the XDefiant team has come in today and clarified a bit of the important details, stating the most important thing to know is there is no skill-based matchmaking in our casual playlist. We believe that no skill-based matchmaking is paramount to a fun and varied game experience in the long term. Frankly, skill-based matchmaking means that every casual game is repetitive, constantly repeating matches that are just as stressful and matched as ranked. We believe casual playlists should be fun, and no SBMM is the way to do that. If you want that competitive every second counts, go all out playlist, you'll find our ranked mode to your liking. They then went on to break down in even further detail the matchmaking factors and parameters, with casual play and those regular playlists just simply matching with a priority on fast connection times, meaning that ping is indeed king, and then the latency and the regions are matched where possible. Ranked play, that's something that matchmaking will prioritize quality matches, meaning that it's going to take longer for the appropriate players the higher skill levels you end up getting into, and it's segmented by rank levels and will only matchmake in those certain parameters. Now, we don't know quite what that will actually entail, like if it's 1 or 2 skill divisions above and below that you can match with players, but it is something that will also use latency and region preferences where applicable. But again, that skill or ranked point system is going to be that main factor that goes into the matchmaking. So that is where you'll end up seeing actual skill-based matchmaking, but it is mentioned that ranked play will be added in a future season. So we're not even going to have that as an option here going forward. My guess, if I'm taking one, is that it's going to be a season 1 introduction here. We saw it live in the beta and some of the other smaller test sessions. So it's not like the architecture and the system at hand isn't already there. It's just something that doesn't appear to be at launch. So my guess is that after those 6 weeks of the preseason are up, that's when we'll end up seeing ranked. But anyways, beyond that, if you wanted a more in-depth look at how these sort of matchmaking factors go into play, you have latency, where again, ping is king. That's the first thing that is considered in the casual matchmaking breakdown. Then if you have any avoided players blocked or muted like that, they'll end up pushing those out so you don't match with them. Then party size is considered, where parties, if they can match a 2-2 or a 3-3, they will, but if it's something like a 6-man, that's going to be harder to matchmake against, so it might be tossed out as well. Region, it's going to prefer players from the same region and language, then input device, then finally platform, whether it be PC, Xbox, or PlayStation. Now, ranked, again, when added, is going to be a little bit different. Those rank points are going to be the first things that are considered, where only matches within an acceptable rank range will be available on offer. Then you take into consideration latency, then party size, then region, then input device, then platform. So obviously the casual entirely neglects the necessity in regards to any skill-based modifiers like a ranked point system. So that was detailed in full here with this. Now, they did mention though that there's not going to be like no balancing systems in place, but it's something that if you want a real life comparison already to something we've seen out there, think Black Ops 4 multiplayer and every year prior. Advanced Warfare, I guess you could say, is like the only asterisk that doesn't really conform to that, but I'm talking about team balancing here with this. It's described once a lobby is populated, teams are balanced based on players' skill rating. The casual lobby does not use skill to determine who gets into the game, but once everyone shows up, it balances the teams for a fun match. And again, this isn't anything that really should be any sort of concern. This is if you liked any of the classic Call of Duty matchmaking systems, this is exactly what it was. So your connection is always going to be that most favorable thing here that the matchmaking systems in place try and end up accommodating for, but then there's going to be a little bit of balancing effect in each actual created lobby. That's something that if you do play in a party, well, we've seen that happen in the past with Call of Duty. Like, that's why pub stomping was such a big thing. You had a full 6-man squad all going for one thing. It's just brute forcing the matchmaking at that point, because you can't really balance a team of 6 against another team of 6 unless there's just that sheer coincidence that there's another crazy team of 6 that is trying to play the same matches. So you'll see that in balance sometimes, but that team balancing isn't going to mess up any of the regular gameplay experience. Then they also detailed that there's going to be input device lock, where in some places, like ranked in particular where they mentioned it, once you start matchmaking, the input device you have cannot be switched back and forth. Like if you accidentally toggle your mouse and keys as your input here or something, like you start typing in game chat while you have the controller plugged in or something like that. If you matchmake while it senses that mouse and keyboard as that last input device, it'll then lock it to be mouse and keyboard as opposed to the controller input. So you'd have to stop matchmaking, restart it with the proper input selected. And then the final thing is lobby persistence. We started seeing this a little bit within Modern Warfare 3, but I mean, the last almost 4 years now at this point, it really hasn't been the case where lobbies will disband every time within Call of Duty after every single match. That's one thing they doubled down on here, is that in casual playlists, the default behavior of lobbies is to persist between matches. This means subsequent games will often include the same players from the previous match. Teams, however, are shuffled every match. Again, just like classic Call of Duty. So that's something that I think we can all kind of get behind as well. Frankly, I think that this, all as detailed, is how it should be for all matchmaking systems in place. Unless you're playing a ranked game mode, I don't think that you necessarily need those parameters that put forth any sort of modifier, any sort of weight on skill. Strictly go, ping is king, take a random sample size of those players queuing up in the best connection area to you, and then balance accordingly once the lobby is curated. But that was the information given here on matchmaking and what we can expect to see whenever we jump into casual and eventually ranked play lobbies altogether within the game once it's launched. The other things that they detailed here today is just a quick little mention about preloading for XDefiant, so that come this time next week and when the servers do open up in the earlier portions of next Tuesday, the 21st, you can jump in immediately. Preloads do start this Thursday, May 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. in the UK, 7 p.m. elsewhere in Europe, and then the Oceania regions is 3 a.m. in the morning. So you have that crossover past midnight into the further portions east in the world. But from there, you'll be able to end up downloading it from your Xbox or PlayStation storefront, downloading it on Ubisoft Connect. But they did specify once again that if you did have a previous version of the game still installed, you'll probably just see it update here, as some people have actually already started to see. So that's something that application will just simply turn into the launch application, and you don't have to re-download it. You're just going to have a smaller update to take into consideration and start preloading there. So that said, that is the information here as detailed by the XDefiant team. Once again, a reminder before we wrap everything up, from today onward, we've got content scheduled here on the channel, but if anything new or breaking comes up, I unfortunately won't be able to cover it. I'm taking some time away in Vegas for a bachelor party of a lifelong friend, so I'm disconnecting here for the next couple of days, just about entirely for the last chance to take some downtime before a wildly busy end of May and June with the XDefiant launch, with the COD 2024 reveals of some kind upcoming, with Season 4 for Modern Warfare 3 and other stuff we got coming in the future. So the next couple of days we'll have content ready for you, but might not necessarily be the most breaking coverage of game news or anything like that, but we got some good stuff that I think you guys will enjoy. But that said, that is where we're going to wrap it up. Before we do, make sure to check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for what I firmly believe are the best blue light glasses on the market. I've worked with these guys now for 3 years and cannot recommend them enough. They're the most lightweight, comfortable, and durable frames on the market as far as I've used, and I definitely think they've helped my daily productivity. Now, full transparency, they're a bit more of an investment, but I do think your vision's absolutely worth investing into, especially if you're like me, you're looking at a monitor, phone, you're gaming for a good chunk of the day, which, if you're really looking forward to XDefiant's launch here upcoming, you might be grinding out the game and doing all of that in the next week or so. So if you guys would like to learn more, at the very least, I'd recommend checking out their website, where they can better break down the science and all the specifics way better than I could, but what I can personally say is I'd highly recommend them. If you guys would like to learn more, check the link in the description below, and if you'd like to pick something up for yourself, use code Espresso to get 10% off your entire order. But for now, that is where we're going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of the matchmaking details here for XDefiant? Like it, dislike it, whatever the case. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things things to XDefiant ahead of the launch and beyond, as well as other FPS content, I would truly love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.